you guys have questions, right? Something ready for us? Right? Bob Kurtzman, guys. So good to have you here. There's a mic for Bob. So Bob's been on tour. He was just in London. He did Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger makeup for one of the last times. How freaking cool is that? So he literally just got done creating Freddy Krueger for one of the last times and came down to Austin to hang out with us. So that was pretty awesome of you, Bob. Thank you,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, of course. Have you ever been
How awesome was that to watch that in 35 again?
Bob, have you ever been to an Alamo Draft House before?
No, I haven't.
Oh
I've
my God!
actually shot in Austin and never been to Alamo.
Fuck yeah, so this is the first time he's been to an Alamo. Guys, you're here with him. That's pretty awesome, right? So this is one of the guys who has worked in the industry. He worked in the industry in the 80s when it was at its peak, right? Like most people describe it as that. And he touched some of the most iconic characters of horror history. Like he's done work on Jason, he's done work on Freddy, he did Evil Dead. He's done so much of our favorite films, and more recently you've worked on Tusk, you've worked on Yoga Hosers, like the Kevin Smith films that are coming out now, which are near and dear to my heart because I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. So as weird as his movies get, but you're just you're all over the place, man. You've been around since the beginning and you're still going strong. So how was it to sit in the audience with these guys and watch this movie on 35mm? How was this experience for you tonight?
Awesome. I haven't seen this movie since it came out on 35, so
oh my God.
Yeah, I've watched it a million times on DVD and whatever, and of course, the 50 different DVD incarnations.
Yeah.
Blu-ray. Have you guys seen the new 25th anniversary Blu-ray that's out?
Yes.
Yeah. There's some really fun behind-the-scenes
There
stuff.
is. If you want to see an adorable cutie Bob Kurtzman working on Evil Dead 2.
mullet. I got a mullet.
Yeah, he does that. It's pretty incredible. Go buy the Evil Dead 2 on Blu-ray. It's awesome, 25th anniversary. So, and this is appropriate, right, with the 25th anniversary just behind us. So let's open it up to the audience before we get before I go off on a tangent. Does anyone have any opening questions for Bob? Right up here up front. Let's do it.
So I think when you watch Evil Dead, you can already see the makeup work is really amazing. It's really impressive. And this is what you're saying with the first one is how impressive the practical effects are. So I guess when you went into Evil Dead 2, what was one of the first things that you were like, I have more money, this is gonna be so much cooler?
Well, overall it was that way. I mean, the budget was, I don't know, it was $3.5 million compared to the first film, which was $300,000, and so everything was amped up. I mean, Sam really wanted everything to be bigger and cooler and more ridiculous, and yeah. So I mean, we were doing all kinds of rubber suits and a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's just things on wires and us pulling pulleys to the head, Henrietta's long-necked head, and we're all just doing stupid puppet stuff and going, this is going to be ridiculous, on the set, but Sam knows how to cut this stuff, so it's pretty fun, even though you see all the mistakes, it's the worst continuity movie in history. So, and Sam will even say that. He was continuity, schmucknuity. Every time we said, the blood doesn't match on his face, he just got pummeled with blood out of a wall and he has no blood on his face, and he's continuity, schmucknuity. And the one thing that Sam always said was people will forgive all that stuff as long as you entertain them, as long as you keep the ride going.
I think we all forgive it, yeah.
So.
It is funny, one of the scenes on the Evil Dead 2 Blu-ray that just came out, please go get it if you're a fan of it, because it has a ton of behind-the-scenes stuff that Greg Nicotero shot when they were on sets, a lot of home video type footage. And there's one when the headless corpse is attacking Ash in the tool shed. It shows the behind the scenes of that of Howard Berger on a skateboard on his back, kicking the door open and getting wheeled in and doing this. It looks so stupid.
It was kind of, I mean, that stuff was a lot of that was what are we doing with this? And Sam's it's got to burst in and do this. And we had no animatronics. It was we literally a fishing pole, a piece of string.
But that's the thing.
Howard on his back, with a skateboard rolling in. And that was it.
It's beautiful. It's perfect though, because it's so low tech and it looks goofy from the outside or when you're watching it on the behind the scenes. But in the movie, we're just all so into it and we're so invested that it just feels right and it feels amazing. And even as hokey as it looks, it's perfect. So Go get that Blu-ray. It's awesome. Let's bring it on to another question. Let's try to go above the first few rows. Questions? Raise your hands, guys. There's someone waving back and forth up there. Let's do it.
What about Evil Dead 2 did you learn to take forward into other projects that you did? What gags did you do that you could implement in other films that you did later in your life? That you learned from?
That's a good question.
No, I think, it was really working with Sam, learning how to run, to shoot on the fly. I mean, Sam makes a lot of stuff up on the day, so the one thing I learned in going to Army of Darkness was to give Sam everything that you had, everything in the kitchen sink you had to have ready for him. Because he'll come on set and just go, how many deadites can I get today? And you go, or how many deadites can I get? And you go, how many do you have? And you're like, well, we have 10 deadites and puppets and 10 suits and I want them all. He just like that was it. It was like every day you had to anticipate kind of what he would want and be ready for it. And on Evil Dead 2, there was a schedule, but then every day the schedule changed, and it was like, hey, today we're shooting Henrietta, and well, we weren't planning that, but we had to have it ready, and we would just prep it and shoot it. And that was kind of fun. I don't know if you guys seen the behind the scenes. I mean, they had us set up at this little school house. It was a middle school in North Carolina, junior phase in high school, or middle school. And the set was built on in a gymnasium. And we had our little kitchen. It was like where they used to prepare the school lunches and stuff. And that was our setup. That was our lab, our makeup effects lab. And we built half the stuff there, half the stuff in LA, and then we finished everything in North Carolina at the school, because we were shooting for 3 months, so we kind of finished as we were shooting as well, because we had such a long period of time to shoot the movie, which is unusual. I mean, 3 months to shoot a movie, normally it's like, you got literally 8 weeks, 6 weeks anymore to shoot something like on this scale. And that movie was, it was like a long schedule, even for the budget. $3.5 million, it's not a lot by today's standards, but it was, an entire summer of us on location shooting. And we stayed in the makeup effects guys all stayed in a old farmhouse, and we called it the Texas Chainsaw Farmhouse, And we're all sleeping, we had 4 or 5 of us in this house, and there was no air conditioning. We had fans in the windows, it's sweltering out. And we shot at the, where they shot Color Purple. Oh, awesome. Yeah, our production office, while shooting in the woods with the cabin, was the Color Purple house, her house in Color Purple. And there was a tree out there where it says Celia and Nettie carved into the tree, So yeah, we were like, hey, look, we're at the Color Purple house,
And y'all were making Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, we're making Evil Dead 2, and the cabin's still there in the woods. Actually,
that's awesome.
They kind of cover that in the
yeah, they do. They go back to
They show the remains of the
it's
of the
really
cabin.
creepy actually. So it's pretty cool. They didn't y'all like booby trap the lab, the makeup lab at some point?
We did. Rob. They gave us a day off one day. They were like, "You guys aren't needed today," so we went out and goofed off, and then they decided they needed our stuff that day on set, so they snuck into the makeup room and took our stuff and went and shot with it.
You don't do that, guys.
Yeah, that's kind of not cool. So the next day, Mike Tursick, who was one of the sculptors on it, he sculpted the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. He worked in sculpting miniatures of Henrietta and everything. Mike, we basically set up these water balloons and booby traps on the door, so that when they opened the door, the water balloons would fly down and hit them. So after that, they couldn't come into our room without getting hit with something.
That's beautiful.
It's like we put stuff everywhere.
Don't fuck with the makeup effects artists on set, guys.
Now we'll super glue everything down to your table. We were doing that through the whole thing. Dave Goodman, who's in the movie briefly, he was the transpo coordinator on the film, and we used to torture him, not only with the cars, but go into his office and glue everything to his table with super glue. All his notepads, everything, coffee cups. He'd come in and be like, "You bastards!" So, yeah, we were pretty obnoxious, but we were young and stupid and had fun, but whatever.
It's a good time to do that kind of stuff. Another question, guys? Let's go up, higher. Raise your hand high so I can see you
What's
guys.
up with Henrietta's butt?
What's up with it?
With the big tears in her butt? Why? Continuity, schmontinuity. Those suits, we didn't have an oven big enough to run foam latex on that show. So those suits were all done out of polyfoam. And we didn't have spandex suits made prior to run the polyfoam on. So all the spandex was glued in after the fact, which was a joke. And you just couldn't control, how they fell apart. I mean, there's one scene where Teddy comes up out of the floor and he catches the trap door, and it's in the behind the scenes. You see his whole suit rip in half on camera. We had like 2 or 3 suits for the whole show, and we were wearing them the whole time.
Yeah.
And they're all made out of polyfoam. In those days, we actually what we called octo-injected those, which was we poured 5 gallons of polyfoam into a 5-gallon bucket, and then we had to shoot it into the mold with air. So we had like 50 hoses go into the mold, garden hoses. And this is something we learned off of you ever see a movie called Invaders from Mars, the remake? Invaders from Mars. So all those stupid suits we made, the big mouth monster suits, whatever, were done where we injected polyfoam into a mold. You know how fast it rises,
right?
So you have to get it into the mold really fast.
Yeah.
So Rick Lazzarini is a makeup effects guy. He came up with this idea of squirting it in with air pressure through a 5-gallon bucket into the mold. And so we started doing that now. And what we did was SC89, the surface, the skins are SC89 sprayed in, and then the polyfoam injected behind it. Then after that, we got smart enough to build our own oven, do it out of foam.
That is insanity.
Build a big oven, just do it out of foam.
It's like more trouble that way.
Yeah, it was. It was like, and it's the
building an
same
oven.
thing. We did the From Beyond
Yeah.
creatures the same way.
Uh-huh.
The Pretorius creature was done the same way. And
Out here, I just bake my foam in my car in the
Yeah,
heat.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, like some of the best foam latex, if y'all are familiar with making
put a
latex and
tinfoil
stuff.
box in the parking lot.
For real, it works. Out in Texas, it works anyway. Sorry, it's so hot, Bob.
Yeah, it sucks.
More questions, guys. He has stories from the set of Evil Dead 2, guys. Just a reminder. I'm sorry. He's waving harder. We'll get to you, though. I promise. Yes, up here.
While you were doing this movie, was there any indication, did you have any sort of feeling it would have the longevity and popularity that it does now?
No, none at all. We were fans of the first film, although this movie's completely different as far as tone. So we had no clue. I mean, it's just one of the. Obviously, it's been going on forever now. It's like 30 years or something. So. No, we had no clue. We were just there making a fun movie, having a good time with Sam and Bruce, and it was like this little family unit of people working together, and then it just, and of course when the movie came out, it was a flop. So, it was same with Army of Darkness. It came out and did no, but then over the years, it's like this cult following, and DVD after DVD release, So that's what's great about it, and that's what's great about, it's like The Thing. The Thing came out, flopped, but then now it's it's iconic,
monster, yeah.
Everybody just loves that movie, and, and you ask John Carpenter, he's like, yeah, I pretty much was washed out of the business after that, and then, boom, it's the one thing he's remembered for, one of the big things.
Right.
So, no, but it's great. It's great to see, generations of fans, loving this.
This is the right crowd to watch it with, too. These guys, I'm sure, loved every second of it. Thank you, guys. Let's just do this question down here.
I remember seeing the documentary where you and Greg and everybody else, y'all had a rock star attitude. Whenever you were younger and everything like that, you are starting off on the scene. And how does it feel to be like a legend now? Especially in the horror community.
That went to such a sweet place. It was like, you guys used to be fucking dicks.
Yeah, right.
With your
I had to have the blue the red M&Ms in my dressing room all the time. But No,
Question.
You were talking like back in the Fango days when we did Fango conventions and yeah, we were the gore guys or whatever. I don't know. It was like
That's what. Well, like I feel like most when you're an effects artist, you kind of knowingly take the step back from the spotlight, where you're like, you're not the director, you're not the actors, but you still have such a heavy foot in what's happening creatively and what we see on film and what sticks with us after that fact, what inspires us and scares us and all that fun stuff. But in the 80s, it was like you guys knew. You were like, we're fucking dope.
Well, it was different too then.
Yeah.
It was different then too because the directors relied on us a lot. I mean, they would say like, I don't know what we're doing here. Can you guys come up with something? So you're actually storyboarding and figuring the sequence out and taking it and presenting it to them, and then you're doing that on the set. They're like walking away like, I don't know how to shoot this. You guys figure it out. And you're like, okay, so you're basically directing half the time. That's why I became a director. And it was because I was doing that all the time on set.
Is it like not like that anymore at all?
It is on independent films.
Right. Okay.
It's not so much on the big movies. You're just like you're a cog in the works. You know.
Right.
It's like and you're it used to be where you're on set all the time for a movie, and then now it's like on a big movie you're just there for.
Yeah.
Like for instance, we did the Hulk, the first Hulk movie. It was terrible. And we were the animatronics guys and building the puppets and stuff, and then we're only. It's every month and a half. It was like a year-long shoot. So every month and a half, you're on set for a few days. Director doesn't say, Ang Lee's like, I don't know, who are these guys,
Yeah.
So it was more fun working on a Sam Raimi movie or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like independent
It
or
feels
whatever.
like it. I feel like that comes through in the movie though as well. Like there's more soul to it, and there's more. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but movies like this, Evil Dead 2, there's like this sense of camaraderie with the crew, and it just feels like a family. Whereas,
you're basically on location for 3 months with a group, and you're all. Nowhere to go, so all you do is go to the farmhouse at night, and everybody brings their guitar, and parties.
Awesome.
Everybody's got their Jack Daniels, and so
it's probably as awesome as we all think it was filming Evil Dead 2. More questions, guys. There's somebody over here. Shout it out.
I would super regret it if I didn't ask you about Dust Till Dawn. And
Yeah.
Don't super regret anything, man. Go for it. What was your question?
Just the process and where it came from, and just a story or two, or just one word describing it, anything of that nature. Whatever you choose.
The story, I came up. Basically, I wanted to direct a film, and I came up with an idea along the lines of Assault on Precinct 13, which is one of my favorite films, and but putting the twist on it, isolating characters like Night of the Living Dead or whatever, and putting them into a setting. And at that time, vampire movies weren't like what they are now, where there's 8 million vampire movies or zombie films. But and I just came up with this, what I thought could be a low-budget movie that I could shoot, for $1 million.
That's adorable.
And I wrote a story, and this originally John Esposito was going to write the screenplay, and he's the guy who wrote Stephen King's Graveyard Shift, along with a bunch of other stuff, including the web series for Walking Dead. And he went away to work on the Stephen King, the Graveyard Shift film at that time, and so he was like, well, let's find another writer because I'm not going to have time to do it. So we basically, through Scott Spiegel and Dave Goodman and friends of Sam Raimi's that we've worked with, recommended this up-and-coming writer, Quentin. And Quentin sent me his screenplays, which at that point, his samples he sent me were Natural Born Killers, True Romance, and Reservoir Dogs. So, and this is prior to Reservoir getting off the ground. So we read them and went, hey, this guy, this is pretty good, Let's do the vampire movie with him. So we hired Quentin, and he hadn't worked on any, he hadn't been hired to write anything at that point. He just was writing his own scripts. So we paid him $1,500, and which we had to like work for a couple weeks to split. We had to like come up with the money, and he he came on and wrote the script, and at that point he was living at home with his mom and working at a video store. So, and then the rest is history. It just, took 10 years to get the movie off the ground after that, because Quentin wrote a script that nobody wanted to make. Like everybody in Hollywood turned it down.
Right.
For 10 years. And even after the success of Reservoir and Pulp Fiction, they still turned it down. Because it's a movie that they're like, what the hell? It turns into a different movie halfway through. What the fuck is this? Nobody wanted to make it. And to be honest, nobody wanted to make it with me as a director either, because I was unproven. And then what happened was, Robert had read the script and was interested and kept bringing it up over and over again. And eventually, it just worked out where Robert was interested, they made a deal, the movie got made, rest is history. It's a really good movie, so I love that movie.
I remember when my brother first saw Dusk Till Dawn and brought it home, he was like, dude, it turns into like a different movie. It's like, first it's a drama and then it's vampires.
Yeah, first it's a getaway, it's like, that's what it was. I mean, when me and Quentin were talking about it initially, it was like, look, it's the getaway meets, it's like, it's kind of a mosh of different movies, but, and that's why El Rey, if anybody, there's the Getaway book, the novel that the Getaway is based on, has a town called El Rey. I think they mention it once in the movie. Mm-hmm. And El Rey is a place you can go pay part of your take as a bank robber or whatever, and you can live there without the law bothering you. So, and that's what El Rey is in.
Right,
Dusk,
and all the locals are familiar with El Rey, the network now. Now we all know where it comes from. But yeah, man, like you gotta come down and hang out on the Dusk Till Dawn TV series set sometime. Gotta bother them about that. He created it, guys. This motherfucker right here. All right, guys, I think we have time for one more question before we go to the, by the way, real quick, again, we have the after party, right? The Blood Over Texas after party, the highball. Please join us, hang out with everybody and Bob. But one more question, let's make it a really kick-ass one right here.
Who's your favorite Deadite?
My favorite Deadite. In this movie?
And all three of them.
I don't know, I really dig the winged Deadite. I'm partial to my Yo She Bitch witch from the third film.
Yes.
But I don't know, I kind of like the winged Deadite. I mean,
at the end of Evil Dead 2?
No, Army of Darkness. No, the remake. Army of Darkness.
The redone version of it.
Not that one. No.
I like that one. He's cool.
Did you notice how, like, when they blow the head off, the wings are already missing?
No, I didn't notice.
On the thing? Okay.
Continuity schmuck.
Continuity, exactly.
Copy that. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, please give Bob Kurtzman a round of applause again. Thanks so much to Garth Manor Cinema for bringing us this awesome evening. People that 235mm. Please join us at the highball for our after party. It's going to be a kick-ass time. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everybody.